Are you going to do it?
This week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing November to Remember 1994, and we are also live on our social medias, recording this show live and in person for those of you that would like to participate. And I'll say from the top, like I always do when we do a live, nobody ever listens, but we use StreamYard, and you have to acknowledge StreamYard's permissions for me to see who the hell you are.
Yeah, what's it like? 2 steps, Nate?
Yeah,
You gotta turn your mic on, and then you have to enter the studio.
and for comments, you just have to click a link saying, yes, I acknowledge that StreamYard can tell who I am. Either that, or I will acknowledge you as it does StreamYard user. But Nate Maxon, of course, here along with my brother Aaron.
What's up, people? Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me.
And Mr. Chad Austin, Chadwick Cicluna, as his name tag says here on the StreamYard. The Baron.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure and a duty to be here.
But like I said, we're going to be discussing November Remember 1994. But first, let's discuss Chad's day. Apparently, Chad had a doozy of a day.
Well, it's not meant to be. That's what they said. Like, I think they worked for WCW in the previous in their past before.
Did they
give me?
Did they hear you? Did they hear you? Did they hear you besmirching Scrapple? Is that?
I mean, I think they might have got a hold of my social media pages, and they were looking through my social media feeds, and they were like, "Whoa, this guy is not a big fan of Scrapple." And then he also says that we don't rotate our milk. And yeah, they got a hold of me. They got a whole dirt sheet. They had like a whole notebook on stuff that I did. But they didn't even give me the opportunity to even do anything today. Not even. I walked in, they took me to the back.
They're like, "Don't touch the sour cream.
No,
don't touch the cottage cheese."
I tried to bump into the Diet 7 Up 2 liters so I could like get a swig of it, bust it on the floor, and just to make sure that I didn't smell like alcohol. But somebody smelled alcohol on me today. I'm not sure who it was, but apparently it was the store big time manager.
Well, that'll do it. That'll put the nail in the coffin.
I think he was wrong. I think it was him. I saw his car at Applebee's when I was walking down there. So I don't want him to besmirch my good name and intentions because he's out there.
Because he had one too many apple martinis.
Yeah, I mean, even though Applebee's don't sell you fucking shit for alcohol, he could have power drank like 3 of them big tall drafts.
It was F.F. Gillen.
Dude, you don't even you wouldn't even believe how funny it was. Like how I didn't take any of this seriously. I'm just sitting in there, and they're just like accusing me of all this shit. Like nothing bad. It was just that they were just like saying you can't show up drunk. Like it's not like we don't even care or anything. Like you just can't. And he's like, we all like you and everything, but we have our district manager in the store, and you went up to him and you're talking to him all drunk, and he could smell it. You had a miniature hanging out of your pocket, like my shirt pocket. I thought it was my bow tie because I thought I was wearing a green tie, but I was wearing a Jim Beam apple shot.
That'll do the trick. That'll do the trick. But you know what? Maybe it was for the best. Maybe it was for the best. You know?
I mean, it ain't for the best for the bank account, but it's for the best for, like, I mean, I hope that guy didn't think he was hurting my feelings. You know what I mean? Like, I hope he didn't think he was like, man, I feel bad for that guy. The dude gave me a ride home. Like, dude, he's like, you know, it's like it was a lovely party gift. You know, we're gonna terminate your career here, but I'm gonna give you I said I live 2 blocks behind here. Like I can walk. He's like, no, I insist.
I insist. I love that. I insist.
Like, really? Like, you insist on riding me home as a consolation prize. But you couldn't give me another chance at the job, but you can give me a ride home.
I see a comment. Hey, fellows, from a Facebook user. Hello. Like I said at the top, acknowledge the StreamYard. Click their little link to say who you are, to get permission to say who you are, so we can see your name. Other than that, I just see Facebook user. So besides that, Chad, I know you're not going to miss the job, but we are going to miss the conversations about the grocery store job here on the show. It was a great chapter.
No, it's never going to end.
I'm
just going to continue to go back. Because they didn't take any of my shirts or anything. They didn't ask for any of that back. And the guy that fired me is like one of the big district managers. So he's not even there every day. So he's probably there today, but won't be there tomorrow. So I'll just go back tomorrow and pretend like none of this ever happened. Then I'll start putting orange juice back in the rack. I start doing dairy again.
You're gonna be like Milton on Office Space.
I don't know. I'd never seen an episode of Office Space.
Well,
but if that's what he does, then I'll be like Milton.
Yeah, he goes to work every day, but he doesn't receive a paycheck. He hasn't received a paycheck for years. But he's still there.
He hasn't figured out that he's fired yet.
Oh, I thought that's what happened when I got hired there, because I'm not sure I received a paycheck. If it did, the lovely Miss Jessica must have got somehow involved in that one, because it's not reflecting in my bank account.
Well, like I said at the top, everybody, if you're watching this live, welcome. If you're listening on the regular podcast, welcome. We are reviewing November to Remember 1994. It's November 5th, 94 at the ECW Arena. The version on the Peacock had a lot more on it than I thought it would. I didn't expect the Peacock version to have Bob Ortiz at the beginning of the show throwing out hats and all that jazz. But that's what we get to start the show. Bob Ortiz and another ring announcer come out, and I was like,
Rocky.
where are the two ring announcers?
That's his brother Rocky.
That's what I was going to ask. Who was that fucking Hambo? Who was that? I put Bob Ortiz and some other Hambone come out. I don't know who that Hambone was.
Yeah, that's his brother. He's the timekeeper. That's Rocky. Yeah, I mean, believe me. Don't be coming on here. This is a show where you can be heard. You don't want the Ortizes to hear this. You might not. One of us. I'm not saying anything bad about the Ortizes. Believe me, I love me some Bob Ortiz. Love Bob and love Rocky. No, sirree, Bob. Am I saying anything bad about them or anything? They sell the best mink coats you're ever going to get. If you want to buy them in the alleyway in Philadelphia, that's fine by me.
So
one of our viewers says, does this mean Chad Austin is going to dust off the boots and go back to wrestling?
I might have to. I mean, I'm not making any money there, so why can't I go somewhere else and not make any money? No, I'm always open for bookings. I don't know what I still have. I mean, if somebody, honestly, this is all bullshitting aside. If somebody presented me an opportunity to work with somebody that I felt like I could have a decent match with. I mean, I'm like Chris Jericho in a sense that I can put the boots back on and pretty much work with anybody, at any time, and I could still be as good once as I ever was. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know I could. I mean, maybe I couldn't do all the high flying stuff that I had to do before, but I could still do some of it, and I could still tell the same psychology that I could before.
Right.
But that's a good question, though, and I appreciate that.
Well, after Bob Ortiz runs down the stars that are going to be at the November to Remember show that we're discussing.
He's got a question? Bob Ortiz has a question?
I'm sure Bob Ortiz doesn't even know this show exists.
I'm not even sure Bob Ortiz exists at this point. What's that? There's no way Bob Ortiz is still alive. This is 30 years ago.
I think he's still probably fucking alive.
He's dead.
After he throws out hats to the crowd, we have a jabroni playing the national anthem on a guitar. And do you know who that was, Chad? Any idea?
Yeah, he was the music guy. I knew you were gonna bring this up, and I thought about it. Like, up on that stage, I mean, you do know there's a stage up there, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it used to be like they would have a curtain, kind of curtain it off, and behind it would be the DJ, like the guy who's playing, the ring music guy. I mean, I hate to call him the DJ when it's not like, he's not fucking Kid and Play over there. He's just playing, Frankenstein.
It's not Fatboy Slim. Yeah.
And he's up there, and I don't know. I mean, I guess 911 had chokeslammed everybody and their parents and neighbors and shit, like, and they thought that would be a good idea because I don't know where they got it, but all I know was it was somebody else that got chokeslammed besides me.
It wasn't the commentator guy from the fucking beginning of ECW, was it? Or was this?
No, this was the guy who basically connects the cables, like to plug in the audio shit. Like, he's the audio guy. That's who that guy was. And as long as I've ever been there, he's been the only guy that I've ever seen do that. So, he must either work for cheap or Paul's checks don't bounce for everybody.
Right. Well, 911 and Paulie come out, and 911 choke slams the dude. Paulie starts playing the guitar, which I thought was funny. And then I think Paulie got a little pissed because his microphone wasn't working.
He didn't get his line in. He had a big line. It didn't work because they fucked up the mic.
What was the line? You couldn't make it out?
No, I didn't hear what he said into the mic. Well, because he was trying to talk into the microphone and it wasn't working. So I didn't hear what he said, and then I did hear him start yelling at Matt Radico. Matt, the mic's not working. The mic's not working. But other than that, I don't.
Name, right? That's all right. So there's Matt Radico, and then there's Bob and Rocky Ortiz. All right, I know who you're talking about.
So they go to the ringside, and of course 911 chases Bob and Rocky around. Bob, like a smart man, disappears. And Rocky winds up in the ring with 911 and eats a couple of choke slams for his trouble.
I mean, what'd you think of the choke slams?
I think for a guy who probably isn't a bumper, it wasn't terrible. And the crowd was into it. I mean, you got to give it, you got to give the devil its due. The crowd was into it. They still haven't gotten over the 911 thing.
Well, that's because they did the right thing. And they just didn't have him chokeslam wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It could have been the simplest repeat. Rinse, do, repeat again with me, Donnie, whatever, JT. I don't know any of them guys, but Paul was just like, dude, you got to have him chokeslam some other people.
Yeah, something out of the ordinary to
catch
people's
exciting.
attention.
It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, who is more well known than like Bob and Rocky? The Artezes or whoever the hell they fucking chokeslammed.
Well, after that segment, which Aaron, what did you think of that as a starter for the show? Well, it started out the show great, and if it was just like a show that you were watching at the beginning of it and you didn't see any of it before that, it got the crowd hyped. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if it was just something that you would see on TV, it comes in and the crowd's like hyped and jacked and super excited. So if they wanted to use this going into the show next week, it's like they come in it was kind of like it was like the equivalent of like a dark match. You know?
Right.
Oh, like a glorified dark match.
Yeah, it got the people amped up and they're excited and
so it was almost like this is something that you're going to see, but we didn't necessarily want you to see this.
Yeah.
And since you are seeing it, it's special.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
The opening match for the show, Hack Myers versus JT Smith. We haven't seen JT in a while, but he's back in action here in ECW.
JT he looked good, man. Like he looked jacked, in my opinion. Like he looked in the best shape that I've seen JT Smith look in the entire time that he's been in ECW.
Dude, I thought JT came back that last time prior to this one. Like that you only saw him like once or twice that I thought he looked good.
But
and he looked better tonight too. Like I agree with you, Nate or Aaron.
Yeah, like he looked jacked tonight on this show.
He looked good, and him and Hack have a good little opener here. The JT wins with a Northern Light suplex. I mean, I don't have a lot of notes on the match itself, but it was a decent opener for the show, you know.
And it was sorry, Chad, go ahead.
Of course. I mean, how are you gonna like discredit that? Like if you were gonna book like it's outside, Jeff. If you were gonna book like a opening match for a halfway decent show, like isn't that a great way to start?
Yeah, it was two guys that
don't have a lot going on.
They don't have
but the ECW crowd loves them.
Likes them. That's why that's in my notes. It's like these are two homegrown guys that the ECW crowd likes, and they're gonna not shit on them either way. You know what I mean?
Right, of course. Yeah, that's what I thought was pretty cool. Is like I mean, that's one thing I liked about ECW is they allow people to get over, like that aren't, you know, inside the bubble kind of. You know what I mean?
Right.
But here you go. They're welcoming of outside talent.
Yeah, and letting the crowd, and that's one of the reasons ECW had such a hardcore fan base. They were willing to let the crowd dictate who was over. You know, they weren't telling you the story. I mean, they were telling you the story, but if the crowd caught on to somebody, they weren't going to be like, well, fuck the crowd. We're not going to listen to them.
Yeah, I mean, have we even gotten to Tully and Bobby and Arn yet?
Bobby and Arn, yes, but not Tully.
Oh, we haven't got to that?
No.
Because that was some like all that shit was some super like secretive like nonsense stuff. And I can't believe how Paul did it. I couldn't believe how Paul did all that shit. But yeah, these shows are really starting to get we're really starting to see like a whole entire different like booking direction.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the evidence is starting to become real apparent because this is, you know, we're a couple months past the Todd Gordon run, and we're in the Paul Lee making things happen. So we're going to start seeing all them guys that Paul Lee wants to have happen.
Right. Well, like I said, JT wins this match with a Northern Light suplex. These two guys brawl up the aisle to end, which seems to be a trend during the show a lot of the time. That's how we.
Well, yeah, but that's also a cool aspect of what Paul eventually does with ECW. That there's no breather in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's just constant motion.
So I mean, what you're also saying is also could be a negative thing on the product when you say it's not giving it time to breathe, because a lot of times the biggest problem with the WWE or even AEW, I should say that more or less AEW, is they don't give their angles time to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they do them, boom, going on to the next one. Forget about Air Paris. we're moving on the fucking Frenchy Boom Boom, whatever the fuck his name is.
Silky Boom Boom. Nice. The next match on the show is Bad Breed against the Pitbulls in a tag team matchup. Ian Rotten comes out looking clean shaven. And
with his mustache.
Yeah, with his mustache.
Fucking idiot.
Oh
boy. What did we think of this match, Aaron?
It starts with a brawl, and I think that I thought it was a decent match. It seemed out of place just because it didn't really have any hype going into it. Ian takes a superplex and does what Chad hates. The minute he takes a superplex, he pulls up his tights.
That's his gimmick.
Yeah. I understand the fact that probably the reason that Pitbull 2 didn't get bigger in his career is probably because of his extracurricular activities. But I think if Pitbull 2 would have been clean-headed and not had his problems, he would have been a bigger deal in the business.
I don't even think it's that. That's the problem. I think it was other outside activities. I don't think it was more of the hand to hand on his part. You know what that means? Like, he wasn't the actual deliverer guy. He was just the distributor guy.
The middleman.
El Jefe.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, he's sitting at his desk like Scarface.
But to me, but to me, honestly, and you guys say what you want to say. Like, I think fucking Anthony Durante looked, out of all of the ECW guys, like if I'm looking at a promotion as a mainstream guy, looking at all these people right now, it's like, Jesus Christ, I could do something with this guy. You know what I mean?
Right? What company wouldn't?
Yeah, well, and that's always been a surprise to me because they had both of those guys had a dark match. They wrestled a dark tryout match at the Survivor Series 1995, and how they never got hired by the WWF, I don't get it, because you would think Vince McMahon,
a built-in tag team.
Yeah, and you would think Vince McMahon would take one look at those guys, and they would be on his short list, but.
No, I think they would be on his high list, but the whole entire time he's looking right past Gary. And he's going right to
Anthony. Jesus Christ. Like, this guy is a fucking specimen.
I mean, I can already see him like mapping it out. Anthony versus Michaels,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony versus I don't even want to say the word Austin. It could be me. But yeah, Anthony against any of the top guys. Yeah, and it's a shame. Like, they both just fucking came and went like a candle in the wind.
Ryan Damon commented the original Pitbull couldn't cut a promo to save his life.
No, he couldn't. He couldn't cut a promo with a knife. That guy, man, I don't give a shit how big the sheet was that had the letters on it. It could have been an eye chart. It just failed.
The Pitbulls win this match with a super bomb, and then Bad Breed attacks the Pitbulls after the match with the chains and bloody up the Pitbulls. And that is that. As far as that one goes, it was decent for what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Like Aaron said, you've got perpetual motion. You got another thing going into right onto the next match. There's action after the action.
And this feud, this wasn't like something that they were blowing off. This was actually a feud they're kicking off on the show.
They were trying to. I just don't know where. I just don't know if Axel and I mean, this is the God's honest truth. I just don't know if Axel and Ian could have garnered enough heat. like to get behind it, and I don't know that Pitbulls were the number one guys to like try to carry that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of heat,
Right?
Like could they carry that position? And apparently, I don't think they did. And I don't think the Bad Breed, because the Bad Breed was already on their last leg at this point anyway. Let's be honest. I mean, it's only a couple months away before they break up.
Yes, it's coming. The next match on the show is unfortunately proof that Matt Bourne didn't last very long in ECW. We've talked over about a month or so now about how great he was for his little stint, but it is over because this was originally, if you remember, billed as going to be Scorpio versus Bourne again. Instead, it's Scorpio versus the Roughneck, Mr. Hughes.
Of course it is.
That was that was in my notes. I was like, was I drunk and forgot that this was supposed to be?
all of a sudden, they just showed you a Cabrini College match of Mr. Hughes, and they just wanted you to be like, "Yeah, look, it's Mr. Hughes, big cat."
I did put good job, Joey, for bringing up the Undertaker since Mr. Hughes can't here. He did bring up Mr. Hughes and the Undertaker. Did Joey? This match was. It was what it was. It started out slow. Hughes dominated most of the match with Scorpio kind of fighting from underneath. So it was a big man versus. I'm not saying Scorpio's not a big man, but you know what I mean. Versus the babyface, and the babyface kind of fighting from underneath. It wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all, man. I mean, these two guys were clearly some sort of friends, outside of the business. So I'm sure they probably worked before somewhere down in probably, Georgia, independent, They camp all. They probably worked together before, and it was just another day for them, I guess, at the office. That's the way I looked at
it. Curtis Hughes did pull off the leapfrog drop down arm drag. Like he pulled it off.
Okay.
And I think this about Curtis Hughes, like he necessarily didn't work at all in the WWF. Like it didn't work when he was there. And in WCW it worked when he was like Luger's bodyguard or whatever, but I think Paulie got the most you could get out of fucking Curtis Hughes in ECW. Like he worked in ECW. You know what I mean? Like the character.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I agree. Yeah. I mean, totally. Like he didn't do anything. All he was the urn.
Facebook user. I don't know who you are because you didn't give him but Facebook user says, I'll be at a show with Mr. Hughes later this month. Remember this, Facebook user. Hey, wake up.
Yeah.
He'll just fall asleep, apparently. But
yeah. Why? Is Mr. Hughes dead?
Nope.
Oh, he's going to be there?
As long as he has his diabetes medication.
Diabetes?
Well, Scorpio wins this match kind of with a splash out of nowhere for the win. And then Mr. Hughes beats him up after the match. Scorpio hits him with the kiss that don't miss and hits Hughes with the chair, and then they brawl to the back. Once again, brawl to the back. Like I said, it's kind of a trend during this show. That's how we get people out of the ring at November to Remember. They brawl up the aisle to the back, but again, it's ECW. It's something different. But like I said, I thought this was a decent outing by these guys. They put on a fine little match here. It wasn't nothing offensive. And
you said a fine little match.
It was a fine little match.
Like you're a promoter, and you're like booking a show, and you're like, that was a fine little match. Good job, guys.
It was
pat on the back. I got plenty of hot dogs over here.
It was plotting and boring.
Are you guys hungry?
They're even Nathan's. They're good. They're the good hot dogs.
You want to go to the pay window? It's right over there. It's that big window where the lady's shoving out like hot dogs in aluminum foil. That's the pay window.
We got some Patterson hot dogs back there. Just
Some
go eat them.
Mitchell weenies.
Some Mitchell weenies back there. Got some
Archie Mitchell weenies.
Archie
Mitchell
wieners back there.
Oh, geez, oh whiz. Not even 24 hours removed.
Up next, it's the Battle of the Tommies. Tommy Cairo versus Tommy Dreamer. I will let Chad lead off. Oh, wait, go ahead, Aaron.
You skipped over the fact that WWE Network left in that Bob Ortiz told us that there were beverages at the left and beverages at the right and some merchandise right down here.
Okay. They forgot this. They said that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Bob was still selling his shit. His brother got killed by 911, but he's still selling his merchandise.
he's out there. You can stop by the merchandise stand. Don't forget my brother got just chokeslammed and he's in the hospital or a local medical facility.
One of our viewers just commented, Archie Mitchell told me that he's going to bonsai drop Chad Austin.
Oh, good Lord. Something tells me it's not going to be like a head of lettuce.
Yeah, it's like a tea bag.
And, me being formerly removed from the grocery business. No, Archie Mitchell's not going to. He's talking about the trivia or like in general?
I don't know. It's vague. I'm assuming during the trivia, which that's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a doozy because I'm sure that this guy's a fucking nerd. And he's going to know, like, how many times Shawn Michaels was Intercontinental Champion. All right. What I mean, officially, how many times is Ric Flair the World Heavyweight Champion? 27 times, Archie. 27 times.
And that's just when Russo was booking.
Technically, Antonio Inoki won the championship in Inoki, Japan once.
Yeah, and he never gave it up. So
he crab walked out of the ring with the NWA championship.
Theoretically, Antonio Inoki, I still recognize him as the NWA champion.
Yeah, he never lost it.
And don't get me started on Baba.
Yeah.
So Archie's like clamoring for like what? I don't know, Trevor Murdoch versus Inoki match. Well, I don't even know who the
Trevor Murdoch versus Antonio Inoki.
I don't even know who these guys, who the top guys are anywhere anymore. Because in my opinion, there hasn't been a top guy in an AEW for a while. Who is a top guy? Explain to me what a top guy is and what a top guy is supposed to be and what a top guy is not in AEW.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Roman Reigns, top guy?
Yes.
Roman Reigns, top guy.
All right.
Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and Seth Rollins. Those are top guys.
The independent guy that's in AEW that does all the MMA stuff.
Daniel Garcia?
Jerry Garcia.
Jerry Garcia.
Exactly.
Jerry Garcia.
Yeah. Is that a top guy? I mean, do you see his name on the marquee at Madison Square Garden and you go, Jerry? Well, I mean, is it Jerry Garcia?
Jerry Garcia?
And I mean, this is gonna get totally shit on by you guys. I would say Miz is a top guy before Daniel Garcia is a top guy.
Oh, Miz is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, who's a better guy to? I mean, besides a guy like me that knew their role. I knew my role everywhere I went, everywhere I worked, and I did angles, and I knew what my role was, and it wasn't to outshine the guy that I was working with, right?
Right.
Like I'm working with amongst the team and a couple of other guys, kind of thing. So I know I can't outshine the guy who's our speaker. So I just knew my role. I could have, I mean, if I wanted to, I could have went into business for myself, but I ain't the big cat.
Nate, this might be dumb, and Chad, you can tell me if I'm dumb too. Like, you brought up the Miz. I won't say like the Miz is the upper echelon of it. Like, I wouldn't say, oh, the Miz is Ric Flair or whatever. To me, Miz in the wrestling business now is Tully Blanchard.
Tully Blanchard then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can see that.
like he's the equivalent of what Tully Blanchard was in the 80s. It's Miz.
Yeah, he was Orange Carry On.
And he's the guy that is badass enough to get out of a situation when he needs to, and he talks shit. And he's like the chicken shit heel on it, but he's bad enough to get away when he needs to get away. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that's complete. That's the complete recipe for FTR's handbook of what they do. Like if them guys didn't if they don't just repeat Midnight Express matches without Jim Cornette, it's like, that's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's wrong or anything.
Yeah.
But
if they can do it, God bless them, because it's great.
Yeah,
that's the way it's.
like.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like Miz. Anybody that discounts Miz, you know what you're talking about with wrestling, because that dude, he's the best heel in wrestling, in my opinion. Right now.
I have a note for this, and this is a legit question I want to ask you, Chad. During this Tommy Cairo, Tommy Dreamer match, something that I noticed, and I guess then the rest of the show I noticed it. Okay, so there's a cameraman outside the ring, okay? And he's around ringside, and sometimes, like during the Todd Gordon segment, he's in the ring. Does that camera actually work? Because they have a cameraman outside the ring supposedly shooting like the floor shots and stuff, but they never show us. Like when we see stuff happen on the floor, we just see it from that one camera. So does that camera even actually work, or is it just there for effect?
Dude, I wish I had an honest answer, but the only thing that I can tell you is that we were always told to play to the hard camera. And the hard camera was up in the Eagle's Nest.
Mm-hmm.
So your guess could be, clearly as good as mine. Was that really a camera?
Right, because we literally never see, like, the brawl goes out to that right side of the ring, and you see the top of people's head. If they lift a chair up, you see the top of the chair. But that cameraman's standing there, but we never get a camera shot from that camera ever. So I just was curious about that.
Yeah, I don't have any idea, man. I mean, that's a great question. Maybe we should get Paul E on.
We'll see if he's got time next week.
Right after Talking Smack.
We can at least get Maddie on, I bet.
Yes,
Mark, I can see it's you.
Paul E's probably taking over my job at Redner's. Like tomorrow I'll walk down there to get some creamer for my coffee, and I'll go, hey, Paul E, while he's in dairy.
I volley an idea on how to place the sour cream, sir.
Yes.
Ryan,
You're rotated by dates.
Our top guy conversation, Ryan Damon commented, The Rock, Brock, Cena, Roman, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton.
Jesus.
That's
the
more
Rock. Who did he say? The Rock? The Cops?
The Rock? The Cops.
Who did he say?
The Rock, Brock, Cena, Roman, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and Randy Orton.
Well, I mean, that's clearly somebody that's just being generational, and that's totally subjective, because I wouldn't expect anybody who was born in just say the 80s or, the 90s or whatever to tell you that when I was born in the Bruno era,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can tell you that my mom had on the calendar Bruno's birthday every year, like circled, like it's Bruno's birthday. I'm just thinking, like, so what? Is it coming over? Is it coming over for kielbasa?
Did you make my cake, pal?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I didn't know we were having Bruno Sammartino over for dinner.
Well, during this match, Dreamer and Cairo, they start out, goes outside the ring early. They brawl around, brawl into the crowd. Tommy introduces the cane in the match, but Dreamer gets to use it on Tommy Cairo, who blades a cane to the nuts. He continues to beat on Cairo, and Cairo is deemed he cannot continue the match, and the referee says the match is over. What did you guys think of Dreamer versus Cairo here? It was fine, I thought.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was fun.
And I still, Cairo's funny as hell, like when he's coming out to the ring and he's doing the blind guy thing and everything. I don't know. I think
he was
funny.
still doing the I'm blind.
Well, or when he did like the blind man cane, with the like sweeping around the mat and into the referee.
And even after the match, the ECW crowd was chanting pay your bills, and all that shit. Like
at ECW crowd, dude. Good Lord.
This was the
Wait a minute, I had an Archie Mitchell joke here too. Oh, I wanted to see, did they have did for some reason why did they show like a video game of the arcade game Superstars? Like in a package or something?
I didn't see that.
Oh, because I wrote I wanted to see Archie Mitchell in Superstars. Like, I don't know if that was the game or on WWE. Was it an advertisement or something? I don't know, but I could just imagine Vicious Man hyping the show. We have Doink the Clown, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, Archie Mitchell. Yeah, I mean, so but they must have showed something for the programming on the Peacock, or I would have never wrote that down like that.
The next matchup on the show, ECW champion.
Sorry. All I was going to say on this was the and I know I've said a couple times watching the show that we're getting more into ECW becoming ECW, but this was really the ECW getting an ECW. You know what I mean? Like, it was like them brawling around the ring, the Cairo doing the all this shit. It was the more you watch it and dissect it, it's getting more into seeing the fingerprints of Paul Heyman on it.
Yeah, just like Chad alluded to earlier, you can tell Paulie pretty much has the book at this point now. There's no doubt about it. The next matchup is Shane Douglas, the ECW champion, against Ron Simmons. Funny that Ron Simmons healed on the crowd, so we really don't have a baby face in the match. I thought that was weird. But
well, he didn't heal on the crowd. The crowd healed on him. Yeah, the crowd healed on him, didn't they?
I know they did after he said Philly was a dump or whatever. I mean, he was kind of going off on Philadelphia.
What do you think? He's going to come out to a glowing review?
I think he worked the room. I think Ron worked the room.
Philly's a dump. Yay! I don't think that was going to happen.
I think Ron was a pro, and he worked the room, and he understood these people don't like me, so fuck it. I'm just going to go with it.
Right, of course. And I mean, and Ron Simmons has been around, at this point, he's been around for a solid
10 years.
94. Did he start in 85?
I mean, I guess you could technically say that. Yeah, I mean.
So, 9 years at this point. And he's been the top guy in WCW at one point.
Wait, is that our listeners in the background?
Archie Mitchell's here. He's commenting. Is Chad being filmed on the ECW fan cam?
All I hear is crickets.
That's Aaron's. That's it.
Those are my fans. They call me Buddy Holly.
Aaron, what did you think of the Douglas Ron Simmons match? Your commentary on this?
It was lackluster. I didn't enjoy it. I just think it was just they didn't work well together in this match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, there was a lot of chemistry issues, and there's not a whole lot you can do when you don't have,
Mm-hmm.
especially when the guys never touch. When the guys have never touched.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You went into this match cold. We haven't seen Ron Simmons on TV leading up to the match. We haven't seen them have any interaction whatsoever leading up to the match. So you're going in cold with the fans having nothing to be invested in as far as the match goes. And Douglas essentially wins with a crucifix, hits Simmons with the belt after the match. Too Cold Scorpio comes out to help Ron Simmons. They beat up Shane Douglas and make their exit from the ring. I know during the match, Joey had to mention all of the people that are not wrestling for ECW that have not answered Shane Douglas's challenge. So that was a thing. But yeah, I agree with you guys. Overall, lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, there was no meat on the bone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like you alluded to, Chad, they gave us no reason in the weeks leading up to the match to give a shit.
Right. I mean, they didn't. Maybe
I don't even think.
Maybe it's not even their fault. They just didn't have the resources.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you think about it, I don't think on the 3 TV shows leading up to the event, because I remember the first show when we first announced November to Remember, they announced that match. But in the preceding shows, I don't even think they've even mentioned it. I kind of forgot Douglas was even on this card until I watched it. So, up next, it is the Sandman retirement ceremony.
Good Lord.
Sandman comes to the ring with Todd Gordon. He's got the shades on. He's got his eyes bandaged up, and Todd Gordon and Joey Styles both act choked up. The Sandman is going to retire here from the ECW.
And the crowd just went banana. I mean, they just bought this hook, line, and sinker. I mean,
hook, line, and stinker. Yep.
What can I say, dude? The crowd just was like, "There's just no chance."
I mean, Archie
showed up in his. I was saying, like, Sandman showed up in his church suit. He's all whatever.
He's all whatever.
Thank you for your astute observation, Mr. Maxon.
You're welcome.
You had enough juice to come up with a punchline of that he showed up in his suit, and then you went nowhere with that one. He showed up in his suit. Come on, Aaron. I thought you were the comedic relief.
You gotta poop. Archie Mitchell says Aaron Maxon looks like he's filming an episode of Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, and I'm the ghost. I'm walking around here like, I don't know, is this even happening? I guess the whole entire thing I take away from anything that Ron Simmons has done there. I mean, the only note that I really made was he looks like he doesn't even belong there.
Yeah.
He's completely in a different league than the rest of the guys are.
Mm-hmm.
he looks professional. It's not saying that like Taz, Shane, et cetera, don't look professional, but Ron Simmons looks like he had been somewhere.
Right. Yes. He looks like a star. Yes.
All right. That's the word you want to say. You can use that.
During the Sandman promo, he talks about Tommy Cairo, Tommy Dreamer, Nancy. I love the fact that he said, "I lost my broad." He kept saying, "I lost my broad." And he's talking obviously about losing Peaches. And then Peaches reemerges on ECW with new tits. And here she comes out to speak to Sandman.
With new tits.
Here's my new tits.
Yeah, pretty much. Fresh fruits. She's got some fresh fruits. Does Peaches. And
all right, so how do you think that worked? Who do you think paid for them?
Not Tommy Cairo.
I mean, because how long was Peaches there afterwards? I'll wait.
Probably Bob Ortiz.
Bob Ortiz.
Bob Ortiz paid for Peaches' tits.
Then why wasn't that an ankle? I'm the one that paid for these titties at the ECW arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have beverages over there, and Peach's new titties right down here.
And look at these titties. Ladies and gentlemen, in the corner to my left, these titties. Like Sandman don't even get an introduction. After these titties, and this guy. Look at these titties.
And this guy.
And this guy.
And this boob. Yeah. Look at these titties and this boob.
The titties and the boob. I think we got the name of this show.
Well, the segment goes down as this is Sandman. He says he's sad that he lost Peaches. Woman comes out to talk about who her new protege is going to be.
Well, remember, Peaches came out with her purchased titties by Bob Ortiz and fucking Sandman, and she was like telling Sandman, "Oh, you don't know how I look," and Sandman was like, "I love you, Peaches, even if you were fat now."
Yeah, no matter how much weight you gained.
He said all that?
Yeah, he said, no matter how much weight you've gained, Peaches, I'll love you no matter what, because you've gained so much weight. Yeah, it was funny.
What? That's heel shit. I didn't. I didn't.
Great. Sandman is healing this shit up. Fantastic.
Yeah, but is he healing it up into the sense that he's going to be a babyface?
For this crowd, more than likely.
I mean, don't you understand? You got Tommy Cairo talking about whatever you just said about Schmuckers, whatever the fuck. Like, he hasn't had his peaches and shit, and And then how would you expect a guy who's married to that lady, you know what I mean, to react? I mean, clearly, if somebody talked about Jess to me, if I didn't know who they were and I just thought it was just in jest, or like making a comment, I go, yeah, that's funny. But if they were like serious, I'd be like, dude, what's your deal?
Right.
That's my fucking bit. I mean, my girl you're talking about.
Well, like I said, woman comes out here. Kane's Peaches argues with the Sandman, and then Sandman takes out Todd Gordon. And of course, the big reveal is the Sandman and women were in cahoots this whole time. And when Tommy Dreamer comes out, Sandman canes the shit out of Tommy Dreamer. Nancy mocking Tommy was really funny, of course. And but that's the segment, the retirement segment. It was all a ruse on Tommy Dreamer so they could beat him up again, pretty much.
That's great. They put that much time into that. I mean, literally, you know, when the Horsemen were going to attack Dusty, like we'll just get him when he comes to the studio.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna take a month and fool him.
Yeah, it's going to be a 4-week plan.
To fool this idiot, Tommy Dreamer.
Well, I really enjoy this angle, and I know it's like what you guys are saying, like it's silly, it's like a couple week angle or whatever, but this is the first like Paul Heyman esque ECW angle, like extreme wrestling angle that I remember. That's why I really like it.
Yeah, you can totally say that.
After that's over, we get Joey on the stage, and he's going to interview Shane Douglas, who comes out. And, of course, he mentions Hogan, Flair, and he says he's on the phone, and he reveals that he is on the phone talking to Sensational Sherry, and that she is going to be accompanying him to the ring at the next event. He's going to be in a tag match. Ron Simmons and Too Cold will be his opponents, and he announces that his partner will be Stunning Steve Austin. And the ECW people lose their shit. But Steve Austin is going to be Douglas's partner at the next show at the ECW Arena on November the 19th. And that's the announcement. I'm surprised. Does Sherry actually show up for that? Does anybody know? Or do
Sherry
I have to wait
shows up for it. Steve does not.
Where was Steve?
Steve doesn't show. It's Brian Pillman.
Okay.
Wow. Was the crowd disappointed? I don't think I was there.
It would, like, if I remember right, they wanted Steve, but it didn't happen. And if I remember right, it winds up being Brian instead of Steve. Sherry's involved in it, but it's not Steve.
To me, it doesn't sound like it's. I mean, at that point in their careers, doesn't sound like it's that much of a disappointment. I mean, to you?
Nah.
I mean, it's Steve. You're talking about Steve Austin, what, 1994, and Brian Pillman, who's pretty much on the rise, right?
Yeah, 94, Brian's a bigger star than Steve. Honestly,
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, so I mean, all he did was just exchange one, Mitchell for another.
The next match on the show is for the ECW TV title, and I had to look it up because the last time we watched a show, the ECW TV champion was Jason, and now it is Dean Malenko. Apparently, the night before this show, Too Cold Scorpio beat Jason for the TV title, and then Dean Malenko beat Too Cold Scorpio at the TV table. The night before this is when the title changed hands, and now Dean Malenko is the champion against the Tasmaniac in a non-title match.
Oh, that's just tremendous. I don't think I have much notes on that at all. Did that even happen?
Essentially, Malenko wins by using a towel with chloroform on it to knock out Taz.
I don't even think my version of this show even showed this. I think
it was pretty quick. So if you walked away to take a piss or something, you might have missed it.
Yeah, it must have been because I remember Dean in the ring, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to walk in. I mean, the refrigerator is only 8 feet away from the sofa.
Right.
Like, go, I was going to go grab a beer or whatever. And I come back, and I hear that it's over. And I was just like, well, do I rewind it or?
See, Nate, that's why I'm glad you put that narrative in there, because last I watched, fucking Jason was the TV champion, and he was like fucking it on his sleeper sofa or whatever. And then it's like now Dean Malenko is a champion, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And Joey says this match is for the TV title. And then Bob Ortiz says it's not for the title. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I mean, what's that? The proverbial right hand don't know the left hand.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's what? I mean, the best you can do is Paul would clean it up in post production the best that he could.
Yeah.
Because that almost sounds to me like he didn't even know what he wanted to do.
I don't know. Right? Just go out there. Just get out there. The most effective thing about this whole deal was after obviously Taz is quote unquote out cold because of the chloroform. They do the smelling salts, and I loved him like just waking up and suplexing the referee like a madman. That was fun. But like I said, this was short and sweet, and I don't think this feud is over between Dean Malenko and the Tasmaniac. The next match, the Public Enemy and the tag team champions, Mikey Whipwreck and Cactus Jack, in the Brawl game. If you get one of your opponents down for the 10 count, the Bat gets introduced into the match, which they showed us the Brawl game match between Public Enemy and Bad Breed last week on the show that we kind of mocked, but I guess it served its purpose by explaining the rules to this one. This was fun. This was a fun brawl.
Yeah, I didn't even waste my time writing even any notes on this. I was like, this, it is what it is. And it's, I mean, Ian pulling up his trunks for 10 minutes. I mean, I can't believe Paul didn't bring it out there. Why don't you find some trunks that fit you?
Yeah, especially with as much as like attention to detail he is. You would think that something like that.
Well, that was Axel. That was all Axel's doing. Like, I know the lady that made that outfit for them, and Axel's the one that designed it, but Ian just didn't wear it. His muffin top. You know, he's all roughly in the middle, and it just didn't work for him. Like he gets slammed. Like I never thought about getting slammed in a street fight, and I gotta pull up my pants. You know, I'm fighting a guy outside of a bar, and the guy like grabs me and slams me. And I go, "Oh, hang on a sec.
Hold up, my ass is hanging out." Yeah.
Yep, I gotta pull up my pants. That's just it's just one. It's one of the things that just it's as a wrestler, quote unquote worker. It's one of them things that just it just gets to me. You know what I mean? Like I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it at any other time, but not after you got superplexed or super bombed or whatever. Whatever.
It put through 4 tables, fire. Yeah.
Yeah. The first thing you think of is putting your ass back in your shorts.
Forget these 3rd-degree burns.
Yeah.
People can see my cheeks.
Yeah. This is PG.
Archie Mitchell says, Chad Austin, you didn't wear pants.
I didn't wear underwear either. I don't know what he's trying to say. Is he trying to say I went to the show naked?
Your wrestle balls out. Aaron, your comments or notes on this this match here?
The PE, Mikey Whipwreck, Cactus Jack, base brawl match or whatever you want to call it. This one was really fucking good. I liked it. This was a ECW style match, and saying that they brawled all over the arena. They pulled out everything. They went up into the Eagle's Nest. They did all their shit. They even injected a future feud between Sabu and Public Enemy because Sabu got mad when Rocco was going to use the tables and all that shit. I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, it was good, dude. It really was good. And it's kind of hard to get me to say anything positive about a Public Enemy match. But I mean, the work was what it was. I'm not going to, Aaron, even you will agree that it wasn't that it was the work that was so great.
It was a spectacle.
It
was
was
the layout.
It was the layout and the story of the match.
Right. And that makes a bad tag team look halfway decent and a good tag team look great. If you lay it out in that way, where they could have done nothing for 17 minutes,
right?
And then the last 3 minutes is the match. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're gonna go 20 minutes. First 17 minutes, head scissors. Whatever. And then the last 3 minutes is when we're gonna work. And that's good shit right there, man. That's knowing how to work.
And they did a great job with making sure that Cactus was as far away from Mikey,
yeah,
as possible for him to get pinned and lose the match. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. It took Cactus 30 seconds to even realize that the match was even over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before he looks towards the ring and then he just runs to the ring what's going on?
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
This little motherfucker.
This was a well produced fucking brawl. It was almost like the it wasn't as good but it was almost like the Memphis concession stand brawl.
Oof. That's a tough one, pal.
I know. I'm not saying it was good as I'm not saying it was good as it, but it was
the same principle.
The same principle.
It was good like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like Aaron said, Public Enemy pins Mikey, wins the tag team titles back. Then we have Todd Gordon come out to hype the next show. He hypes that Sandman versus Dreamer with Tommy Cairo as the referee will take place. Cactus Jack comes out, puts over Mikey, but he says, Mikey's great, but he's not going to make it to the next show. So, in other words, Mikey's going to be recouping. And Cactus announces that his partner against the Public Enemy at the next show is going to be Kevin Sullivan.
I thought he was going to say Mad Dog Bud Sawyer. No, right. I thought he was going to say Bugsy McGraw.
Bugsy McGraw.
That's who I was hoping for.
With the hat. If Bugsy's in the ECW arena, he's got to wear the hat.
Of course
Instead he said, I'm bringing in Dink. I mean, Kevin Sullivan.
Jesus, Oz. Or whatever he was when he was the Grand Poobah. I don't know what the fuck he was.
The last match of the show.
My partner, Tiger Jackson.
Little Louie.
Oh, all right, Butch Cassidy. Is that where we're going now?
Up next is a match that they really had to improvise in this deal.
Oh, Jesus Christ. There's a lot of improvising.
10 seconds in, Chris Benoit drops Sabu on his neck, breaks his fucking neck.
It's awful.
And
all like I said, I thought the whole entire presentation was awful. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's the only angle they caught was that one angle, which is the only one you really need.
Right.
But it seems like they just beat it into your head. Yes, we know. Sabu got dropped on his head. Look at his neck crinkle. And I was just like, all right, we get it. He's the homicidal, genocidal, breath deteriorating, I don't know, whatever the fuck you call him. Maniac. Apparently he can't pass the fucking alcohol test at Redner's.
I know at this very moment though, there's as this goes down, like I said, they're really having to improvise. They have 911 go into the ring. with Benoit, but of course Benoit says I didn't sign to wrestle 911. 911 choke slams Benoit and pins him. But like I said, they are in panic mode at this point because your main event just ended in 10 seconds because one of the guys got his neck broken. They wind up sending Too Cold out to challenge Benoit, and they have a little match where they have a double count out, and that is pretty much how we end the show. But
how else were you going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, you got what are you going to do? You got to. I mean, Sabu's obviously not going to be able to continue.
I mean, how many shows have we talked about in the past where the lights turned down, and it wasn't even on purpose. The lights just turned out. Like there was a power at it, and Paulie just goes, "Everybody go to the ring." Like this was that kind of same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh shit! Get out there. Let's make something happen.
Yeah.
To get these people's attention off the fact that shit just went sideways.
I mean, Benoit and Sabu. I mean, people were. Wasn't it? Is it me or did Corluzzo was the one that booked that match first? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, if I have my facts straight, I think Corluzzo booked that match about 2 days before they were booked at the ECW arena, and I have it. I'm sure I have it, but I think that the guy doing the commentary said that that's the first time that they've ever touched. You know, and I was like, "Oh, this should be good," but it wasn't. And even the Bird Watcher, my buddy the Bird Watcher, he even said that, man, that first Sabu Benoit match was kind of tough to watch, and you know, he watches everything like through a microscope.
But just, I guess, mesh of styles, a poor mesh of styles. You know, Sabu's sloppy, Benoit isn't. Well, obviously Benoit can be sloppy because he broke Sabu's fucking neck. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I don't think that was Benoit's fault.
Right.
That's what I was going to ask. I didn't want to.
Hold on just a second before you say it, Aaron. Archie commented, Chad should have replaced Sabu. Who'd Scorpio ever beat? But anyway, Aaron.
Anyway, Chad, I was going to ask, in that situation, watching that move, was that Chris's fault or was that Sabu's fault?
It was Sabu's fault. I think, in my personal opinion, I think Sabu was trying to take like a unique bump because that's one of the things that I've learned from like Sabu. Like not actually like stole directly from him, but I kind of learned like when somebody gives you a backdrop, I've never agreed that everybody should land the same way on the backdrop. And I always try to like land on my head or you know, pseudo land on my head. You know what I mean? Like make it look like you land on your head kind of thing. And I think Sabu and Benoit tried to do the same thing, and I mean, it wasn't good. Put it that way. That neck, you know, oof. Yeah, that was not good.
And that's what I thought.
What you got going on over there?
That's the way I always thought about it when I watched it. Was like, I don't think it was. And now that you said it was Sabu, when I watch it, it's like once Benoit released him, it was just like, well, you're in
on your own
now.
Yeah, you're on your own, buddy.
Yeah.
And then, like I just said, Sabu's always been known for he likes to take them little fucking, you know, sideways bumps, and that's great. I appreciate that because that's what I took from him. You, like I said, you don't take every bump the same way or don't look routine. And he never did it, but yeah, he just did the wrong thing at the wrong time against the wrong guy. I guess.
Well, overall, guys, what do we give as a grade? I guess we'll go with grade for November to Remember 1994.
Oof. It's got to still be in the C range, right?
Yeah, I'd give it a C minus.
Yeah, I mean somewhere around the C. Yeah, it just
I actually did give it a C plus, so we're all. It sounds like we're all on the same page.
I like
You know,
Shane. I liked Ron Simmons. Um, a
it's the
little
best.
bit.
It's the best you're gonna get out of Public Enemy. You know what they did.
Oof. Well, that's saying.
I mean, yeah. I'm just saying. You know, if you it's shining a turd, it's the shiniest of the turd you're gonna get.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
I
That's
like this show out of the fact that this was the first, in my opinion, this is the first ECW show that we've watched that I can tell was like completely Paul Heyman having his hands on it.
yeah. I that could be like that could be a good point because I'm sure that leading up to this there was like the TVs that you haven't even seen yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that would have been like Saturday afternoon or maybe the next day Sunday, and then the big show was on Saturday night. So yeah, I could totally see that if this was Paul's fingerprints completely on the product and he stripped it all down and started all over again. Was Rocket Rebel on it?
Nope.
Nope.
Was Tony Stetson on it?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, there we go. That now we're talking about change.
And you can't tell me that fucking Sabu busting his neck at the end of this show wasn't Paul Heyman just, like, all right, let's do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was him pushing people out there. You know what I mean? This was a complete Paul Heyman pushed show, in my
Of
opinion.
course it was. Yeah, I mean that's the way Paul ran that shit. He don't give a shit what you just saw 13 seconds ago.
Yeah.
He wants you to remember what you just saw right now.
On to the next thing. Yep.
And then it's after you just saw that, then we're going to send out 911. And then after you just saw that, we're going to send out, I don't know, Public Enemy. We're just going to just keep sending them out there. And then all you're going to do is just keep popping. And we're not going to give you enough time to shit on it.
Yeah.
That seemed to be like the recipe for success for Paul is don't give them enough time to shit on the
Yeah,
stuff.
don't, no matter how good or how awful it was, it's on to the next thought.
Just don't.
Keep moving.
Dude, Hack Myers, how long is your entrance? It's like a minute and a half. Can you do it in 60? And it's like, what do you mean? Can you get in and get the fuck out in 60 seconds? Yeah, I mean that's a recipe that works on live television even to this day, right?
Yes.
Like they don't want you to, remember the old Monday Night Raw Manhattan centers like Tatanka, like Razor Ramon, like
The Bushwhackers versus the Repo Man and Damien Demento.
Yeah.
for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then how did that work out for them?
Steve Lombardi painted like a baseball.
Abe Knuckleball Swartz.
Abe, that's it. That's it. I
Schwartz.
couldn't remember Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. That's it.
Abe Knuckleball Schwartz.
That's why I'm going to beat Archie Mitchell in the fucking trivia gimmick. Because I know more about Mike Boyette and Steve Cox. Boy, do I know a lot about Steve Cox.
Do it, Cox.
I got some videotape that you might want to see. I'm not even sure he's aware of it. A hotel room in Tulsa.
He's not doing it, is he?
Oh, he's doing it to someone. I'm not sure their age.
Jesus.
I don't think their mom appreciated it.
It's probably Peaches.
Yeah, right. Like
Free implants.
Sandman's pimping out fucking Peaches to Steve Cox. That's unbelievable.
Pay your bills, Steve. Do it to it, Cox.
You think you can do it to it? You got to pay your bills.
$20.
Oh, good Lord. $20. That wouldn't even put fucking 5 gallons of gas in that piece of shit car that Sandman drives. That big ass dumb van that he probably lives in.
Pay your bills, Fritz Von Erich.
What? Whoever accused Fritz Von Erich of not paying his bills? I've never heard
Lance.
that. Lance? or was that Don Owens? Like speaking through Lance. I don't think that guy, Fritz Von Erich, paid his bills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow all the kids in for free tonight. Right here. That's a good way of making money.
Whenever Fritz couldn't pay his bills, he just used the death of one of his children as a distraction.
Dude,
so people would forget. He brought Lance in because he was like, I'm running out of kids to die.
Yeah, Chad Von Erich.
Fritz was the originator of the GoFundMe.
But it wasn't even before the internet.
GoFundMe, Franz Eric.
Go Fritz me.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, help me. I got 25 illegitimate kids that I haven't even figured out what their real names are yet.
And they won't stop dying in their 30s.
Well,
they're all missing their right feet, and they look like cavemen. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these kids.
And I taught them all personally how to drive motorcycles. Drunk.
And they keep crashing.
Don't you know how to wear a helmet and then roll? After you crash, you just roll?
Tuck and roll, you fucking morons.
Marks.
Tuck and roll, Mark.
Jesus.
Mark Von Erich. All right, everybody.
Mark Von Erich.
I want to thank you all for joining us this week on Reliving the Extreme. Thank you for the listeners.
Mark Von Erich.
Thank you.
He has no feet and no idea what's going on.
And he rides a unicycle with his hands.
He just comes in on one of those big bicycles, with like the big wheel on it. And he's like,
the big wheel in the front, the small wheel in the back?
Yeah. That's
my favorite bicycle.
That's Mark Von Erich. He just comes rolling it.
Listen, this is no shit. About 25 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago, me and my buddy were working at this job together. It was a shitty job. And we had to put on these old shoes to go in because they were going to get like destroyed because it was like a seafood place. And we were putting our shoes on, and we just both happened to look in the rearview mirror, and there was a guy riding across the parking lot with one of them big bicycles. and Scotty goes, "Did you see that?" I go, "You talking about the big wheel bicycle?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah." And then I was like, "I saw it." And then we turned around and looked, and it was like he had the big mustache and everything. Like, we were like, "This is like amazing."
That was Mark Von Erich.
Yeah, dude. He was heading to the next show. Oh, good Lord.
Headed to the sportatorium.
Mark Von Erich.
He was at the What a Sportatorium.
Oh, shit. Aaron, any parting words for our listeners?
No.
All right. Chad?
Yeah, just happy holidays. I'm sure there's got to be some Jewish thing going on somewhere.
Actually, hold on. I saw this thing today.
For
those that celebrate, have you ever heard August 8th? So it is not the anniversary, but for those that celebrate, say the week anniversary. August 8th, 2004, over the Kinsey Street Bridge in Chicago, Illinois, a tour bus belonging to the Dave Matthews Band dumped an estimated 800 pounds of human
I heard
waste
about this.
from the bus's septic tank onto a passenger sightseeing boat on the Chicago River.
That was a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, August 2004.
Yeah.
But for those that celebrate, that can be our holiday. The Dave Matthews Band Chicago River incident.
The Dave Matthews Day of Decadence.
So they just dumped their music on people.
Shut up. They're a great band. But anyway, they dumped 800 pounds of shit on a tourist boat in Chicago.
Dude, have you ever seen one of them trucks like unload that shit?
Yes.
Dude, that one valve is a big deal. You unload that valve, you know, it's a shitstorm.
Literally.
It just comes running out, and you're just like, oh my god.
All right. Anyway, thank you for joining us this week. Thank you for joining us in podcast form.
On August 10th, 2000 what?
August 8th, 2004. Let me sign off.
August 8th.
Thank you,
We didn't
everybody.
have any guests. We didn't have any questions or anything.
Music on the people's music.
Just comments on the Facebook. Thank you for those of you that watched us live. Thank you for those of us listening to the podcast. Those of us. Yeah, we're the only ones that listen anyway. But thanks for joining us, everybody, on Reliving the Extreme. We'll see you next week. And next week, I think our homework for this week is to come up with more fictional Von Erich sons. But we'll see you next week on Reliving the Extreme.
Hot dog
everybody.
Von Erich.
And his tag team partner, Handshake Von Erich.